Working from home is not easy, especially if you're not used to it, and especially during these uncertain times. You've got the whole family at home. You've got kids running around. You're trying to get work done. You've got the outside noise from the news. It's really challenging right now. Well, in this video, we interview a top business and life coach on how to better understand what we're going through and give us some really cool tips, tricks, and tools on how to work from home and tune out this extra noise that we're going through. So stay tuned.
Hey everyone, it's Dave and Adam with the Real Estate Dads.
Today we continue our interview series with the one and only special guest, MJ Resto, founder of Imagine Your Health. She's actually my business coach and my life coach as well. MJ, thank you so much for joining us today.
I'm excited to be here. I love talking to you guys.
Thank you, thank you. Today we're going to discuss a very hot topic. How do you manage the unknown? Prior to this shutdown, all of us had a place of work. We had some people had 9 to 5. They left the house, went to the office. Now that we don't have the freedom to go anywhere, it's our psyche. Everything about what we do is just so much harder. How do you recommend, or how do you help people navigate their daily routines?
Yeah, it's such a good question, and this really hit me probably about just a couple of weeks after we started the quarantine, and mostly because I'm pretty structured. I've been working from home for years, or working at least from home in part for years. Just so everybody knows, I've had this kind of parallel career where I've been in a corporate leader and my own business owner, and oftentimes I've been both at the same time. Sometimes it's been a little bit more one than the other. So I'm really familiar what it's like to work in-house, and really familiar what it's like to work outside or in your own home. And just a couple of weeks after the quarantine, I noticed I felt like I was kind of underwater, and nothing really changed for me. I mean, nothing changed for me as far as my surroundings, but what really changed was, number one, not knowing how long this was going to last, or how even back, this was just a few weeks ago, but we didn't even know how serious is this compared to how we know how serious this is today. And so it's that kind of swimmingness of unknown, unknown how serious this is, unknown of, how long am I going to be doing this? Do I need to settle into my house, or is this just going to be for a little bit, and then just everything else that you can think of. And I realized, wow, I'm used to working at home. I'm practiced at all this, and I feel a little underwater, and like time is escaping me. Like, what did I do today?
Right.
So Adam, that's when I came up with the coaching prep sheet about what did you do these last couple of weeks and how do you know you did that? So I think that may be one of the things that prompted Adam to say, hey, you want to come talk about this? So let's talk about, there's a couple levels of unknown, of ambiguity, right? And we have lots of ambiguity in our life, but usually we can control things around us, or we can control something in our life, which helps us feel more grounded, helps us feel pointed. But we've lost control of so much around us that gives us, that oftentimes makes us feel like we're not grounded, whether that's feeling like, okay, I'm floating, or I'm underwater, or I'm not connected to time. Where did it go? There's all those strange feelings. And then you're just like, is this the pollen in the air from all the rain?
Sure, right.
or is this me? So there's this different levels of unknown, different levels of processing that. So I think what I'll do is talk about some of the more serious ambiguity, when we hit the wall and where, maybe some people that we know got laid off or are furloughed. Maybe some of our clients, their businesses are slowing down. Maybe I happen to know a couple of people who actually got COVID and dealing with that. And then I know people whose children got COVID. And
Wow.
so, listening to them and feeling so blessed because it's not touching me directly in that way. So taking it seriously, but also understanding and feeling blessed with actually possibility, because I think a lot of us can actually imagine some good things coming out of this as well. What this means is there's a lot of going on in here, right?
Yeah.
Even if we're surrounded by our family, it's kind of like we're more alone with our thoughts than ever, even when we're surrounded by our family 24/7.
Right.
So I'm going to share an exercise that I was just sharing with somebody a couple of days ago. When we're really feeling like the unknown or ambiguity is giving us, causing us to feel anxious, and now this anxiousness is starting to bleed out on everybody else. And how do we know that? Because they're telling us, why are you acting that way? Why are you saying this?
Right.
You need some time. Go away. Or I need some time. I'm going to go away.
Right.
One is the first step is really knowing, okay, what is fact and what is my story? What is really going on? And then how much time am I spending, just like taking that to the nth degree? What's the story? What am I making up? So what I advise is to take a piece of paper, take a pen or a pencil, put a line down the middle of it. Like, this is old-fashioned stuff. We're using real paper, rather than your computer. On the left-hand side, write fact. On the right-hand side, write story. And so write what you absolutely know is real fact. And it can be about COVID. It can be about you. It can be about your work. It can be about, it can be about all kinds of things. It doesn't matter, but they're connected to your story. But you're writing what's real, what's truth, and not your personal truth, but what's like objective fact. Mm-hmm. And then on the other side, you write your story about it, like everything you're thinking and all of that. And usually what we see is there's this really short list of facts, and then there's this really long list of story. So that's just one way to become conscious of kind of what we're doing to ourselves. And then the next step after that is, if we're very anxious, or if we realize, wow, I have a lot of resistance or fear, or I'm just making up way too much stuff, then you get another piece of paper and you write down all of the stuff you're concerned about, all the stuff that you're worried about. And the reason is a lot of people who are kind of into the law of attraction, they don't want to actually look at what they're afraid of, or not too long. And so I just want to say, I'm not suggesting that you focus for a long period of what you're afraid of or concerned about. But what I suggest is that you exhaust yourself, you exhaust your thinking, because what we're doing is we're getting connected to our monkey brain. Have you heard that
Mm-hmm.
The monkey brain? And you're letting the monkey brain get it all out, so you can let it out and then let it go. Yeah, because a lot of times if we're just trying to have positive thoughts on top of all the monkey brain thoughts, they just don't stick. We just can't hold on to them.
That's really good advice about the fact and story, and then because we can just go down this rabbit hole of our own story and we just keep going with it and not taking the time to realize what's really happening, what is the actual facts. And the story can be so powerful and kind of overtake what the facts really show. And then, as you said, when you mentioned trying to put those positive facts, stacking it on top, And I've experienced that. It just doesn't work. You just kind of suppress the negative things without getting it out of your system.
Yeah, and then it comes out at some point in time, right?
Yes.
Usually not of our choosing.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think in our situation, like, I go down the rabbit hole, often, and luckily for me, I've got David where we can talk it out and realize, okay, I'm just making this story up and really just stay on task and move forward. And I think having that accountability partner does help you navigate through the monkey brain.
Yeah. Having somebody you can just talk, just say it out loud to.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And the reason I suggest 2 pieces of paper is I suggest you keep the first one with the facts and the story. So you can just glance at it and remind yourself, oh yeah, I have so much story. And the second piece is I actually like to not just throw it away, once we empty out all the monkey brain stuff. I like to do, you can like dissolve it underwater. You can do visual things so you actually see it go away. You can tear it up, you can shred it, you can you can crumple it up and put it under running water, but it actually gives your brain the signal that it's kind of like melted away.
Sure.
Yeah. You're going,
we can burn it.
Do you think that's, well, I almost said that, but I know other people will listen to this. Like, don't burn things in your home. That's not what I'm trying to say.
We'll have a disclaimer down below. We're not responsible.
Do not do this at home.
Yeah.
Do not do this at home. I know. I thought I better not say that online.
Right.
We're professionals.
Oh yeah, we're professionals. But I don't know. I hope that doesn't sound like girly, but it works for me.
No, it totally works.
Yeah.
No, I think at this point, like, there's a lot of people willing to probably be more open-minded to trying things that they just weren't open to before, and because we're all under. I think so many of us are feeling these thoughts, these feelings, but maybe just not enough people know how to deal with it or even expressing it because they're just not used to doing it or used to doing that.
Yeah, I think awareness. We hear a lot about awareness, and awareness is absolute. Self-awareness is absolutely critical, I think, in a time like this. And I don't think that a lot of people also hear what you do with that self-awareness, right? So once you know, where do you go with that?
Right.
And so what I love to do is give people tools so that they can not only develop new skills, but they can actually take their awareness and make it productive.
Yeah, absolutely. So, after managing, your thoughts and the feelings, another big question a lot of people have is, you mentioned this earlier in the video that you're used to working from home, and Adam and I work from home quite often too, but there are many people that are not in that position, and this is all very new to them, and they've got families, and if they're living with somebody else, you've got multiple people working from home, and if you have children, they're at home. Do you have any good tips or advice on how to maybe deal with that new situation or that new reality?
I do have some, but I know that you both also have kids at home and your family at home. Can we start off by just asking you, what do you do?
Sure.
You're like, oh no, she turned the tides.
I know. Wait a minute. What happened here?
I send them both. I send them all to David's house.
Are your houses connected?
Oh,
Yeah, right.
We'd be in trouble if they were. The situation I'm personally in is, so my wife's working from home. She has more of that 9 to 5. So it's challenging for me personally because I'm trying to get some work done. And my wife has a little less leeway of kind of leaving what she's doing for work. So right now, I have my son Eli most of the time, and I'm using his downtime, his nap time to get work in. Mm-hmm. And then I'm trying to utilize my evenings, but by the time evening hits, I'm realizing what it's like to be a stay-at-home parent, and I'm just exhausted. So,
right.
Yeah.
And we're used to having our son in daycare. So this is all new to us. So we're actually having a tough time managing it because I'm struggling to find that time to get the work in that I need to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What would be
I think
your, oh, go ahead, Adam.
I was going to say for our situation, Oliver would go to preschool half day Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So all other days we would have him all day long. So really, the only change for us is that we have Oliver in the morning, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So it's the only big change is kind of implementing a curriculum for him, and then trying to get work done on the side as well. So yeah, likewise, like David, whenever Oliver or one of the boys goes down for nap is when one of us can get work done.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I have 3 grown children. They're all adults now. My youngest is 25. She'll be 26 in, I don't know, a few months. And I started working off and on from my home when my first one was, I don't know, like 7 or 8, with the very first computers. I'm dating myself. I know. Sorry. And so I remember, kids don't know what, I'm working right now means, right? Especially little ones.
Right.
And
Yes.
they don't even know what work is. So it's not like, if you have teenagers or you have older children, you can kind of set some boundaries, and it's not like they want to be with you all the time anyway, like, young children do. So I definitely think, I definitely hear you guys. And I know, because Adam, you and I have talked about it, that, you have to reconfigure your day, basically. And that's for sure. And I do know that I have other friends who are all dealing with children or young children at home as well, from teenage to 3 years old. And I see them all actually feeling really blessed to have this time in a way, and also being like, I'm running out of ideas, and I'm running out of things to do, and what else are we going to do and whatnot. A curriculum is a great idea. My one of my friends went online and downloaded curriculums for different levels of preschool, for art school curriculums, for, these are children that are younger that don't have school curriculums themselves.
Yeah.
So, there's that piece of it. It sounds like you're doing really well. I think building your own internal structure right now is really important, because everything in your home can distract you. The dishes, the house, things that I'm like, geez, I'm spending all this time at home. I should get that closet cleaned.
Right.
All of those thoughts that we think we should be able to do so much more right now because we're at home. And in a lot of ways, we're doing maybe more of family, but we can do a lot less because we don't have focused time. So
Sure.
one, I think really giving yourself permission and a break to realize, now is not the time to make this whole other additional list for myself of everything I thought I was going to do when I was at home. Because let's face it, you're not on vacation.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're at home, but we're not on a staycation at all. So, so one, giving yourself a break, having some compassion for you, your spouses, your children, because after all, they have to see you every day, all the time now. No,
Yeah.
I'm just joking. And in the morning, it's really important to have a routine. And this is if you want to feel like you're as close as possible to a regular day, so that you feel like you have some production time, so you feel like you're grounded. And then when you're working, or when you're trying to be productive at whatever you choose to be productive at right now, that you feel like you're your brain is working well. Do you know what I mean? Because sometimes when we're at home a lot, our brain starts feeling different. The way we think, or the quality of our thoughts start feeling different. So having a routine every morning, and just like you do when you go to work, and keeping that routine as close as you can, so that you're not treating your mornings like you're on vacation, but then now I'm going to try and go do stuff. And then intention is very important right now. So there's a couple types of intention. One is how you're going to show up today. By the way, if you want to take a day off, if you want to have a mini staycation with you and your family, have an intention for that. So you're not feeling guilty that, oh, I'm doing this stuff, but I should be working because I said I was going to get these marketing pieces out by such and such a time, or this letter written, or these emails done. Have an intention of what your day is going to be about, and the mindset that you want to have about that day. So if you're going to, try and get 3 hours of work done that day, or, like a lot of us, I'm going to smash 5 hours of work into 3 hours. You know that feeling?
Yeah.
Just know that I intend today that I will get work done. And if you decide it's going to be a staycation day, then give yourself a break and don't work. So have internal boundaries.
Yep.
And then the second intention is, what am I going to accomplish? And I recommend you get really laser focused on the one or two main things that you want to get accomplished that day. So when you have those hours that your kids are taking a nap, or that your wife, is occupying them with some kind of creative curriculum or whatnot, that you're able to focus very quickly because you have an intention, you know what you're going to do. And right now I have probably an hour and a half. And that way, at that hour and a half, you're going to have to put it down and you're going to come back to it. But when you're clear about what that intention is, you'll be able to grab onto that, like what I call a positive anchor, instead of walking around for half an hour thinking, oh yeah, what was I going to do? And I should be doing that. And I did want to get that done. That gets us focused, very quickly. And Adam hears me talk about this ad nauseum, but just taking a couple of minutes to breathe.
Yeah.
Adam's like, oh yeah, the breathing thing. To breathe and to settle down so you can settle in right before you start. Okay, I have an hour right now. I have an hour and a half for 2 minutes. That's all it takes. Just do that, and it'll get you settled down.
Yeah, get a little bit more grounded before you try to tackle something.
Yeah. So and present. When you're, I know this is, you guys are the real estate dads, and I know you're very involved with your family. But just to get present really fast so you can use your working time as best as you can, and then try not to work too late at night, even though I know nights is the open hours.
Yeah.
Have a boundary, because so that you can get a little time before you go to bed. Because if you have a sleep hangover the next morning, most of your day is going to be shot.
Right.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that, because Adam and I would be texting or Facebook messaging like late into the hours. And at some point, I think Adam mentioned it maybe a few weeks ago, where he's like, okay, we've got to cut this off like before, I think it was like 10 or 11, because it starts getting really unproductive afterwards. And
yeah.
That's really.
Well, we started getting into fights after that too.
just like brothers do.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
When I don't use emojis, he might text him angry.
Well, let's just say every time I text somebody after maybe 9:30 or 10, it's unsuccessful the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so
it's interesting what you said, because again, the three of us are very accustomed to working at home, but when you add in, and I know everyone's situation is different, but I guess from speaking from my reality is when I've added in with Lauren working from home and my son always being home, I'm used to working at home, but not with all those distractions. And then you mentioned the feeling of guilt, and it's like, well, I've got to take care of my son and my family, but I've got to take care of work and get that going. And yeah, you can lose focus pretty quickly if the structure, I got to rethink what structure is in this kind of new normal right now.
Yeah, and for whatever mothers are watching this, I really just want to speak to them for a moment, because in some ways, a lot of women hold this kind of guilt all the time, even when they're going to work and they're not with their children or whatnot. They live with this kind of guilt, and so being at home, they're kind of used to these kind of feelings. And I would just encourage them to try and move past that and get to the point where you're really you are really partnering and able to leave that guilt behind, and to, especially your two wives, to really partner with you so that they can feel free and clear too, because that kind of carrying around that guilt, or I should be is just exhausting.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
this is a total group therapy session, David.
I know. Adam, what did you get me in here? What am I?
I need a hug.
Feel free to disagree with me and push back. Adam does all the time. I hear what you say, and
Oh, MJ, thanks so much for shedding light on this topic. We definitely really appreciate that. We have a lot of people who watch this, and we're all in the same boat these days. So it's just a matter of figuring out what is the best plan of action for us. So thank you very much for coming and helping and shedding some light on everything. And we'd love to have you come back on and discuss this again, more in depth.
You didn't have enough of me? No, thank you for having me on. I've loved talking to you too. And that I just feel so happy and for your families, because I know you both care so much. So thank you. You have a great day.
Thanks so much, MJ.
Thank you.
Bye.